Good morning. Today we are starting our book 3, binder number 3, with unit 7. And we can see for unit 7, we're going to be working on some geometry stuff. We're going to be doing measurements, working with our different shapes and finding angles. We're going to be doing some good, fun stuff with our shapes. So our first objective in Unit 8 is CO51. I can measure, draw, and classify angles using a protractor. So that semicircle plastic is our protractor. I have a nice handy massive one up here. So this is going to help us to see better, because if I'm using that small little clear plastic one, it's going to be hard to see up here on the board how to use it. So I'm going to walk us through how to properly use the protractor so we get the most accurate measurements that we can. Because we are going to be using the protractor to measure angles. Because that's a big thing with geometry, is knowing our angle measurements. So when we look at this protractor, we're going to notice how it measures from 0 to 180. So you'll see on the outside, there's a 0 and a 180. And then on the inside, the 0's on the other side, and there's a 180 on the other side. So we have an outside measurements and inside measurements, and they go in reverse direction. So this is so we can measure angles that open up to the left and that open up to the right. And we don't have to try flipping our protractors and trying to figure out how to measure the different angles. If it opens to the left, we're going to, so opening to the left, let me do it so we can see it on the camera. If our angle is this one and we open to the left, we're going to put it so our circle is right at the vertex of the angle, where the two lines meet. We're going to put that there, and we're going to look at where our line is pointing to. If it's pointing to the 0 on the outside, we're going to measure on the outside. But if our angle is opened the other way, if we do this angle, and it goes like this, our bottom line is pointing to the 0 on the inside, so we're going to use those inside measurements. So we always look at where that bottom line of our angle is pointing towards, where the 0 is. Because when we start measuring, we should always start measuring with the 0, right? We're not going to start with 180 and count backwards. We don't want to count backwards. We want to start at 0 and count up. So you're going to, if it opens up to the right, you're going to use the 0 that's on the inside. If it opens to the left, you're going to use the 0 that's on the outside. So it's very important that we know. Oh, I said I didn't want to see any protractors. Remember, we were hiding them. We don't want to use the wrong side numbers. Because if I'm measuring this red angle on the inside, and I'm supposed to be going on the outside because that's where 0 is, but I look and say, oh, it goes up here, it's 70 degrees. No, it's 70 degrees from here. In reality, it's 110 degrees. So it's very important that you start at 0 and work your way up, or you're going to get a very wrong measurement. Okay, so that's the most basic way of explaining how to use the different set of numbers on our protractor. So now we're going to fill in definitions. So we have the vertex of an angle. So the definition, now if I can see where I put down my binder, here it is. The vertex of the angle is the point where the two sides of an angle meet. So we have one side, two sides, and where they meet, that is our vertex. That point where the two sides meet is the vertex. Who knows what a definition of an acute angle is? Who remembers, Luciana? You're showing. Who can give me word definition? Because I can't put a picture on here. JT. Very good. An acute angle is an angle. We're going to get a little more mathy. And instead of saying with and less than 90 degrees, we're going to say with a measure. So we're getting mathy with that. So it's an angle with a measure.
You forgot the width.
An angle with a measure of less than 90 degrees. So if we were to draw a picture, now's when I can do that picture of Luciana's hands. Under 90 degrees is going to be a small angle. I like to think of it as an acute angle, so cute and little. It's acute. It's little. Think about a little puppy. Think about a little baby. You go, oh, it's so cute. So an acute angle is the cute little angle. Who knows the definition of a right angle?
Oh, yeah.
Gigi, say it louder for me.
It's open to the right. Open.
Angles can open any direction. Think about the measurements, because remember, protractors measure. Our acute angle is a measure of less than 90 degrees. What would a right angle be? Thinking about in terms of measurement, Taya. An angle with a measure equal, using our mathy terms, equal to 90 degrees. Notice how when I say the word degree, I'm using our degree symbol. We don't just want to say equal to 90. 90 what? 90 inches, 90 puppies, 90 what? It is 90 degrees. So it is extremely important that we remember to put the degree symbol when we're talking about degrees. We need to know we are measuring the angle. We are measuring degrees. So it is super important that we put the degree symbols. Did we write this? Can I erase it and scroll up?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to draw a picture first. Oh, I'm sorry. So a 90-degree angle, or sorry, a right angle has 90 degrees. Who knows what we put to show that it is 90 degrees? Matthew. Nolan.
Bars.
We put that little square. If you see a square in an angle's corner, you know automatically it's 90 degrees. When we see that little square, it is telling us you don't have to use your protractor. You see that square? It is 90 degrees. You see how?
Why do they do that with the 90-degree angle, but not like the acute angle?
Because acute angles could be all those different measurements from 0 all the way up to 89. So it could be so many different measurements, but a right angle is only one measurement. A right angle can only be 90 degrees. Okay, now I'm going to scroll up. What was that, Isabel?
Is there a truth angle like
No.
Isn't it longer than?
Who just was that? You, Bennett? What did you say, Bennett?
An angle with more than 90 degrees.
So an obtuse angle is an angle with, let's get mathy with their terms, with a measure. If we know the acute was less than, the obtuse is greater than. 90 degrees. Again, do not forget your degree symbol. So an obtuse angle is an angle with a measure greater than 90 degrees. So we know 90 degrees was straight up and straight down. So if it's bigger than that, it's going to be an obtuse angle. Now, somebody brought up a good point when we were talking about the right angle, and they said, oh, it's pointing to the right. And I said, okay, point either way. Remember, our protractor, we can measure either way. So that is also an obtuse angle. Doesn't matter the direction that it's going, as long as you can tell it's larger than 90 degrees. We know our 90 degrees would be going straight up and down, so you can see it's bigger than that 90 degrees. A straight angle. I like the pictures, Luciana. We're going to try to use words. What do you think the definition, the Mackey type definition would be? JT?
An angle with a measurement of 180 degrees.
I'm going to put one more mathy word in there. Who knows what mathy word I'm going to put into JT's definition? What was that? Equal. So it is an angle with a measure equal to 180 degrees. So if we think about this, we know this is 90 degrees. And if I put it right back to back with another 90-degree angle, I can see that bottom is a straight line. If I were to draw it nicely, that bottom would be a straight line. So a straight angle is a straight line. We can see that would be its vertex right in the middle.
Do we have to draw the circle? The vertex?
You should put a point. Because our vertex on the obtuse would be here. Our vertex on a straight angle is right in the middle of a straight line. Bennett.
Do they feel like up and down?
Yeah. Just like our other angles can be rotated any which way, your straight line could be up and down. It could be diagonal. Angles can rotate. It's still the same degree. So a straight angle has to be a straight line. It can be going in any direction, but it has to be a straight line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So any of it's really easy when you're drawing an angle to draw that straight line going horizontally, but this would still be an obtuse angle. It's just rotated, right? It's just turned. It's still an obtuse angle. You just have to turn your paper to measure it, or turn your protractor to measure it. So we would measure this one like this, matching up with your vertex, and your straight line going straight across to the zero. This one, we would have to match up our vertex with that straight line going to the zero. So those angles, if they're turned, you just have to turn your protractor or turn your paper. If you want your protractor to be straight in front of you, you're going to rotate your paper to match it up the vertex and the lines. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's look. Any questions on our 4 types of angles?
No.
All right. Let's look at our work. The second page is the work for the
Can we
day.
unhide our protractors now? Or no?
Not yet. Patience.
Patience is a virtue.
Okay, to measure an angle with a protractor, you're going to position that vertex of the angle at the center of the protractor, like I said, making sure the bottom of the angle is flat along the bottom of the protractor. So we can see here is our vertex. A lot of our protractors have an open circle. That's where you want to line up that vertex. On my big one that I have here, you can see there's this little divot here. That's what I line up, and I make sure that it is pointing straight to the 0. So you want that line to point straight to the 0. So go ahead and take your protractors out. You should either have an open circle or you should have the cross lines showing you right where that middle is. That's what you put directly on top of the vertex. And you make sure that this black line, the bottom part of our angle, is going straight to your 0.
It's hard to do because it's going on the
Yeah, it's like going on the ring.
So what do you think you could do?
Take it out.
Yeah, you can take it out of your binder so that ring doesn't get in your way. And then when we're done, you're gonna put it back in your binder so you don't lose it. So it's always okay to take a paper out of the binder if we need to. Because if the ring is in the way of your protractor so it won't lay flat, take it out. So, when we look at this, let me use my yellow one so we can see. When we line this up, you want that straight line on the bottom to go straight to the 0. Which side is the 0 on, the outside or the inside? The outside. So we're going to be using the numbers on the outside. So when we do this and we line it up, we're going to look at where that top line comes to on the protractor. And you can see on the protractor on the page, it was coming, there's a straight line here, and then you have to imagine those dotted lines going right to here. So if it hits the outside 0, you're counting your numbers up on the outside, and what number do we get to? How many degrees is this angle, Isabel?
45.
It is 45 degrees. You have to put that degree symbol. Does that make sense how to measure with your protractor? Because this bottom line here was pointing to the 0 that's on the outside, we had to measure on the outside. So you always have to look at where that 0 is that bottom line is pointing to. If it's on the inside of the protractor, you count up on the inside. If that 0 is on the outside, you count up on the outside. You always, always, always start at 0. So if you're starting at 180 and you're counting backwards, you're on the wrong side. Okay? So here's our questions. What is the measure of the angle shown? We said 45 degrees. Then what is its classification? Aiden?
Acute?
It would be acute. How do you know it would be acute?
Below 90.
Because it is less than 90 degrees. 45 is smaller than 90, so we know it's an acute angle. Okay? So, let's look at the work we have to do today. It says measure each angle and classify if it's acute, right, or obtuse. We did not put a straight angle on here because it's really easy to know. We want us to work on using our protractor to actually measure. So, this is why I had us hide our protractors, because it's disrupting us. So we don't have any straight angles on here because we want us to be working on finding those measurements. So you'll notice that we're just classifying by acute, right, or obtuse. So you're gonna find the measurement, write down the angle measurement with the degree symbol, and then you're gonna write, is it acute, right, or obtuse? Then on the bottom, you're gonna use your protractor to draw a 30-degree angle and to draw a 110-degree angle. So let me show you how we do that. when you're going to draw your own angle, the first thing you do is you start with your bottom line and your vertex. You can have your line going this way. I just chose to go left to right. Then you're going to put your protractor on it. And you're going to line up that bottom line and your vertex with your protractor. Make sure it's pointing at the 0, whichever way you went, outside or inside. Mine is on the outside. I am going to go up to where it says 70 degrees, and I'm going to put a little line up here. Okay, that's where my 70 degrees was. Nope, sorry. We want to go 30 degrees.
Yeah, I was thinking.
My bad. So I'm going to start over with my protractor lined up. I'm going to go up to where it says 30 degrees, and I'm going to draw a line. Then I'm going to use my protractor as a ruler. I'm going to line up my 2 points. It's really hard with the shadow here. I'm going to line up my 2 points, and I'm going to draw a straight line. So again, I drew my straight line at the bottom. I drew the vertex. Then I put the protractor on, and I found where that 30 degrees was. And then I used my protractor as the ruler to draw a straight line. It's hard on this board. And then I'm going to label it so I know that this was my 30-degree angle. That it.
How would you know the vertex?
You're going to put the vertex. You draw it. So you're drawing the line
Well, like on
and
the,
put a dot.
what about like on the ones above it?
What is the definition of the vertex?
The point where the 2 sides of the angle.
So you're going to look, here's a side and here's a side. The vertex is right where they meet.
Okay.
So it's always that meeting point, the corner. That is your vertex. Who has a device out that they need to bring? Bring it to me. Or who has the device out that just made noise? Somebody has a device making noise. Check if it's yours. We need to get that turned in right now. Okay. Somebody was just making noise. You're either honest and you turn it in to me right now, or if I find whose it is, it goes to the office.
It was mine.
Thank you. Nolan.
The one we're measuring, where we put our dot, do we put it like in the bottom here?
Yes, so the vertex, that corner, goes in. Some protractors have just like a divot like I have. Some will have the 2 lines and you line it up right where those 2 lines all meet. Some have a little circle opening at that spot. You put that vertex right in that middle spot. So you're not putting it, if we have the plastic ones, you're not going to put it way up here. Your vertex has to go right here. Why do you think that is? So let me show us with the board vertex, or on, oh my goodness, going too fast. So you're gonna let me scroll down, there we go. So if we look at this protractor, this one has the circle. Why do we want to put the vertex right at that circle? Why do you think, Isabel?
Because when we measure it, we want it to go around the vertex.
Why? Why do we want it to start at the vertex?
You know, if we're gonna go on the inside.
Because we want it to go across to that 0. If we lined it up way up here, we're not going to be starting at 0. We're going to be starting above 0. So it's important that we line up right where that circle is or the 2 lines cross. So that way it's that line, that bottom line of our angle is pointing right at the 0, not at a larger angle number. Any other questions about the protractors? Yes.
I have a question. No, okay.
Yes.
Do you want us to put what degree it is too?
Measure each angle. So put the angle measurement, and if it's acute, write her up too. So you're going to write 2 things for each angle. The angle measurement and the classification, which type of angle it is. Any other questions? JT?
Do we have to write what kind of angle it is on the ones that we drew?
No, you just have to write if is it the 30 degree or the 110. You don't have to label it acute and obtuse. Jillian, is your hand up?
No.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, for my friends at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.